I learned somewhere out in Montana, where I wasted a lot of my youth.
White Sulphur Springs, Montana. Like so many small towns across the western United States, it's quiet most days. Even Main Street, which runs stoplight-free through the middle of town, can feel like a Polaroid from years past, trapped in a single dusty moment in time. Flags and family, country music and big skies. This is fabric of America type stuff. But beneath the timeless rhythm of daily life in Meagher County, things are changing. The modern world is creeping in as plans for a copper mine are taking shape, bringing with it questions. What's the value of small-town America? Can towns like White Sulphur grow and thrive without losing their identity, their unique culture? And what does it mean if it's lost?
Ride like the wind.
My name is Jerry Zig, and White Sulphur Springs is my hometown. I grew up on a cattle ranch here on the Smith River. As a little kid, gosh, I would go down to the river and I would fish, I would go hunting, I would go exploring around in the canyon. I was very interested in the natural history of everything around me. There were outcrops of various kinds of rocks lining the canyon. But everything else too, you know, the wildlife and plant life and everything. I was fascinated by all of it. I went off to the University of Montana and pursued a career as a geologist. I went to work for a company that was looking for minerals in this area. They gave me $500 and the use of a pickup for the summer to go out and figure out the layering and the formation that they were exploring in. So I did that for them, and they liked my story and hired me on. We made the copper discoveries at Black Butte in 1985. And I did some other work around the area, but then moved on to other pastures, so to speak. And then the landowners here who own the copper deposits in 2008 called me up and wondered if I'd come back and pursue the work here. So gradually I've moved back to the old family ranch and became part of the community again. And as I learned, I've been part of the community all along. Once you're part of a small community like this, it never goes away.
I'm very proud of White Sulphur. I think there's a lot of energy here. I think there's an entrepreneurial spirit, a ranching spirit, hardworking. I think that's really important to how you're brought up and values that you have. And I love the people that are here and that want to make White Sulphur the best that it can be.
Small town, big sky, pickup trucks and combines, mountains and fence lines, winding through the valley.
I've been in favor of the mine from the get-go just because Meagher and Wheatland County are among the poorest counties in the country. Not only Montana, but the whole country. So we need some paying jobs, some good paying jobs, because agriculture can't handle it. We support what little infrastructure we can in White Sulphur, but there isn't money enough in agriculture in normal times to really make the area flourish. So some high-paying jobs would be a real advantage. And the fact the United States and the whole world needs a lot of copper with the advent of electric vehicles and more power lines, they all use lots of copper. And I don't feel right about getting it all from some third world nation. I'd just as soon see it taken out right here.
When I was in school, there was a lot more economic activity. There were a lot more family ranches in the area, people working at the mill, a lot of people working up in the woods, falling lumber and bringing it down to the mill. The railroad went through the south end of the county, the Milwaukee Road Railroad, and there was a lot of people that were employed from Martinsdale down to 16. It was a good time for the town. What happened was the economy in the late 70s forced some of the timber industry out of business. Also the railroad, those jobs eventually left the community and went other places. For me, it was definitely one of those things where you were just trying to figure out what can happen here in the community to improve economic activity.
If you're passing through, you won't understand. It can take a little time. But if you listen close for those western goals, you might find, you just might find.
My sister and I had to leave town because we had no opportunities. I worked in Helena for about a decade, and then I was the HR director for the city of Bozeman. It's funny, you get used to living in a certain way and being busy all the time. It's really hard to just kind of take a deep breath and slow down. That is the value of being in a small town. Happiness is what's important, and wherever that takes you is where it takes you.
Is one thing to lean on, big dreams and love songs, but nothing's as strong as homegrown, Small town, big sky, never wanna say goodbye. No matter how damn hard I try, I'll always call it home. When I walk through the city, I like to pretend that the prairie begins with a cold.
9 years ago, I took a job helping to permit the copper mine here in White Sulphur, and I was pretty excited about bringing jobs to our hometown. When I took the job, our main street was dying. A lot of empty buildings. Our school was losing kids. Our daughter's class was down to 12 kids. The same story across America in rural communities, and that was happening here.
Giving two-fingered waves and faint cigarette smiles, and the hobos are cowboys after rodeo rides.
When I moved here in 2005, I just read a book by the wonderful Ivan Doig. The book inspired me about the place and the gritty nature of the climate and the people and the hardworking folks up here, and I really wanted to get a sense of authentic Montana. Montana in general has a lot of cachet and romanticism, but Doig really told the truth about the challenges of the place as well, with the grit and the wind and tough winters, and it can be a hard place as well. And I think because we're so isolated just by our geography, we have to take care of each other out here. We're pretty remote, and it's been a struggling boom and bust town since its inception, really. There's political differences, religious, just backgrounds, or how we think about the world. There's lots of different angles. And the reality is you might not like your neighbor, but you are going to need to depend on them. And so you have to at least have a somewhat of a decent working relationship with folks around. And it makes us more civil in ways that I think we're all missing in some bigger parts of our nation right now.
You could find some salvation in that old bed of steel. Time wears you down.
The Meagher County Stewardship Council was created when the Black Butte Copper project came to town as a way of protecting the culture, the natural resources, and the economy we have here in Meagher County. The Stewardship Council is made up of such a diverse but important group of people that are leaders in this community. We have ranchers on the council, we have people in the hospital system, Everybody has their own voice and their own opinions, and it's all for the benefit of our county.
The Meagher County Stewardship Council is working with the mine on a community benefits agreement, which includes a community benefits fund, to be sure that there is money and planning in place for today as well as for tomorrow. It's been rewarding to work with a group of people who may see different ways to get there, but all define success for White Sulphur in very much the same way. It's the kind of give and take in setting policy and making decisions that can be hard to find these days. And in this way, we get to set the course and not just hope things will come out for the good, but make sure that they do.
Nothing's familiar. I've got nowhere to go. Yesterday's better, that much I know.
The impact of the mine on the community will be primarily bringing more people in. We're looking to employ about 240 full-time people at the mine. And then there will be a group of contractors associated with the project. That's going to put a strain on a lot of the infrastructure and facilities and services we have here. So we'll need some upgrades to the school. There will be need for additional teachers and maybe a little more space. We'll need more law enforcement people. Looking around at some of the streets in town, there's a lot of improvement to do here. And the council could certainly have a role there. I think the other thing the council could consider is how to manage the recreational opportunities in the community. Because as more and more people live here, there'll be more and more pressure on what opportunities we do have and something of a demand to create more opportunities. So that all has to be dealt with in some rational fashion.
Far off cities, see 1,000 crazy things. Small town life, full of promise every morning in the bloom.
White Sulphur is a ranching, agriculture, recreation community, so we're service industry. The mine will have a great impact on the community as far as revenue, but once it's gone, we're going to be right back to what we are now. You know, you see this big boom, all this comes in, and then now it's gone. It's not the environmental thing that scares me, you know, the effect of a mine leaving. No, it's not that. It's what did the community have to do to support that influx, and what's going to happen once it's gone.
I believe that the mine is a hit it and quit it, not a long-term investment in this area, not best for our economy. I think what's best for our economy is to take care of agriculture and tourism. Tourism and agriculture are our long-term sustainable industries in this area. It isn't the mine that is pulling the town up. It's the people that are here now that are reinvesting in this area. This is a tourist mecca year-round. We've got the Smith River, which is a crown jewel of rivers in the United States. We have an expansive trail system in the Little Belts. We've got excellent elk hunting. We have a downhill ski area. People come here for those reasons, as long as we don't compromise that with a mine or something that could change the ecosystem for both ranchers and tourism. We have a long-term sustainable industry. I'm not opposed to the mine because I'm an environmentalist. I'm opposed to the mine because I'm a capitalist.
Trace upon the breeze, a hint of change is coming in the stirring of the leaves. Sunrise, it's the moment I can see this place anew.
At Montana Angler, one of the most unique trips we offer is this 5-day floating and camping expedition down the Smith River. The Smith River is really unique because it's the only river in the state of Montana that has strict limitations on all floating use on the river. As time goes on and outdoor recreation gets more and more popular, the Smith River is sort of frozen in time. And one of the beauties of floating the canyon is there's a maximum number of people you're going to see floating with you. The Smith has a special place in the heart of Montanans and then river runners around the world, really. The appreciation our guests have when they're on the trip, the beauty, the seclusion, it's something we look forward to all year.
We've had two great catalysts in our community. The first was Red Ants Pants coming here and having that can-do attitude and bringing new ideas, and I think the second is our mining project. It gave a lot of people hope of coming back and starting businesses and knowing there would be a base for their future.
This community loves the Smith River and places tremendous value on the county's environment because these kinds of places are getting harder and harder to find. And there is no one in this community who isn't excited at the prospect of more money for schools, healthcare, and critical infrastructure. Without revenue, Meagher County is going to have a hard time making it in the future. It's finding that balance, that equilibrium between environment and economy that towns across this country are wrestling with.
We've definitely faced a lot of challenges owning a restaurant in rural Montana, but once we got involved in the community and got to know people, you realize how much of a support system you have. Especially with the town growing, we're getting people here that are wanting to work and enjoying the job. And a lot of other younger people are finding themselves moving back here and starting businesses, and there's just a lot of young energy.
Ties the ranching to our family and our friends.
What makes White Sulphur Springs a great community today is the wonderful people that live here, the recreational opportunities that are very close to the community. We have a lot of wonderful businesses that all seem to work collaboratively together for the benefit of the community, and I think that helps a great deal in making it a wonderful place to live.
For a lot of time, White Sulphur was something you just drove through, and that was a real sad time in this area. Things have changed, and people are coming here and they like to be here and they want to stay here. It's a beautiful town, and what people are doing here is important, and I think people feel that when they come. White Sulphur isn't staying stuck or stagnant. It's about the character of the people that live here. The fact that this town is changing is inevitable. We just get to decide how it's going to change, and it's up to us if it's good or bad.
Montana, we know that mining has gone wrong. I think there's always that fear, but copper is such a valuable resource that hopefully there's a balance. There's disagreements and different views, and that's what's needed to make the right decisions.
The vibrancy is kind of amazing here. There's a feeling in White Sulphur. People feel good about what's happening here. They're looking forward to things to come. Either you control the change or it controls you. So you have to decide. And the change is going to happen regardless.
There's something about this area that I'm very connected with. You know, when you're young, you grow up in a place like this, that's where you learn all your lessons. That's where you learn how the world works. Anywhere you go after that, you're still controlled by those those early experiences and how you see things at that time. We grow to love what we grew up with. When things change, you have to really start thinking about what's happening and how to deal with it. You have to start adapting. And people do resist that. It's a rare community that really thrives on change, and it's a completely different mindset. When you see something is changing, for good or bad, therein lies an opportunity.
Yesterday the rain came down on thirsty land and underground to make its way just west of town to join the river once again. Long before it had a name, epic floods and drought brought change, but still today it's all the same. A wise but distant friend. I've been to where it's 1 foot wide and planted 1 foot either side. Dropped a leaf to watch it ride and wondered how it all might end. Spinning around and floating free through raging rapids, falling trees, making for some unseen sea just around the bend. Never sleep.